10 American cities that are literally falling apart before our eyes. The nation's most at-risk cities. Exposed. And no, this isn't just some over-the-top title meant to snag your clicks. It's a giant, flashing red alarm bell. And trust me, it's ringing loud. Across the good old US of A. There are cities that aren't just struggling, they're unraveling. We're talking about places once full of energy, people, and promise, now deteriorating faster than your worn-out phone charger after a year of overuse. From downtowns that used to buzz with life to neighborhoods that now feel like ghost towns frozen in time, these aren't just cities in trouble. They're cities gasping for oxygen. Poverty, crime, crumbling infrastructure, failed policies that aged worse than unrefrigerated milk. This isn't just a rough patch. This is collapse in motion. That American dream they sold us. In some of these towns, it's more like a never-ending layaway plan. Delayed, denied, or straight-up cancelled. Welcome to the real story of America's most vulnerable cities, where what's breaking down isn't just concrete, it's hope. In this revealing countdown, virtual travel with Brian digs deep into the top 10 cities on the edge, crushed by unemployment, riddled with abandoned properties, and slowly letting go of once vibrant futures. Why is this happening in so many parts of the country? What went so wrong? And more importantly, could your city be next? Stick around because some of these places might hit closer to home than you expect. And trust me, they'll leave you more stunned than your last power bill. If this kind of real talk resonates, hit that like button, drop your hot takes in the comments, and subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian for more content that pulls zero punches. Number 10. Toledo, Ohio, paraphrased and expanded. Ever wondered what happens when a city's economic heart doesn't just skip a beat, but totally flatlines on the side of the highway? That's Toledo for you. A once proud manufacturing titan now limping along, carrying wounds that haven't healed, and scars that grow deeper by the year. Back in the day, Toledo roared with industry. Jobs were steady, paychecks were strong, and neighborhoods thrived. But fast forward to now. It's like watching a proud fighter trying to stand back up after a brutal knockout. The poverty rate sits at a jaw-dropping 30.1%. That's not a glitch. That's 1 out of every 3 people barely scraping by. Picture this. 3 folks walk into a diner, and chances are one can't afford more than the free water and a hopeful glance at the menu. So, what happened? When the auto industry started to stall, and factories began vanishing quicker than free donuts in a break room, Toledo took a massive hit. Good-paying blue-collar jobs. Economic momentum slammed into reverse. What followed was a slow-motion disaster. Streets lined with boarded-up houses, factories rusting in silence, and entire blocks that feel like they hit pause in 1983 and never hit play again. Urban blight spread through the city like an infection. Empty windows staring back at you, forgotten storefronts, and silence where there once was hustle. And here's the kicker. When the very industries that built your city pack up and leave, how on earth do you rebuild? What do you build with? Toledo's been trying, no doubt. Downtown revitalization efforts, attempts to lure in new businesses, projects aimed at rebooting the local economy. But let's be honest, it's like trying to patch a sinking ship with duct tape. When 30% of your residents are living below the poverty line, you're not sprinting toward success. You're crawling uphill in a thunderstorm. Walk down some streets in Toledo today, and it's like flipping through a forgotten family photo album. Memories fading, pages tattered, and nobody quite sure how to make sense of it all. Would you put your money, your future, into a city still stuck in the aftermath of an economic implosion that started decades ago? Some bold souls still do. And respect to them because it's a tough journey. But make no mistake, Toledo isn't out of the woods. Not even close. It's a city still bruised, still bleeding, and still hoping for a second act. Whether that act ever hits the stage, well, that remains to be seen. St. Louis keeps trying. Millions poured into redevelopment projects, new facades, fresh initiatives. But without addressing the root causes of crime and poverty, it's like putting a fresh coat of paint on a collapsing house. And let's not forget, the population is shrinking. Each year, More families flee for the suburbs, leaving behind ghostly stretches of abandoned homes and shuttered businesses. Yes, hope still exists. You'll see it in the local pride, the grassroots efforts, the murals that scream resilience. But man, the road ahead looks longer than a Missouri summer. Would you invest your dreams in a city where heartbreak sometimes outweighs opportunity? Sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. Number 2. Detroit, Michigan. This isn't just a fall from grace. This is a full-blown freefall, without a parachute. Detroit's poverty rate. A staggering 36.1%. That means more than 1 in 3 residents are officially struggling just to survive. Would you bet your future in a city where basic survival feels like an Olympic event? It's heartbreaking and it's real. Now let's talk crime. Detroit's crime index is a brutal 73.2, making it one of the most dangerous cities in America. Violent crimes, robberies, assaults, homicides. Here, they're practically part of the daily forecast. But here's what really hits you. Roughly 40% of all buildings in Detroit are vacant or deteriorating. Entire neighborhoods sit in silence. No kids, no shops, just nature reclaiming a broken empire. Sure, there are glimmers of hope. Artists moving in, tech startups planting roots, redevelopment projects grabbing headlines. But a couple lofts and coffee shops don't erase the deep wounds left behind when the auto industry collapsed. Detroit still has soul, the grit, the music, the fight. But rebuilding that soul takes more than hashtags and PR. It takes real investment, real leadership, and real solutions that reach everyone, not just the ones who can afford $15 lattes in the gentrified zones. Would you put roots down where survival outpaces success? Tell me in the comments. Number 1. Memphis, Tennessee. At 42.3%, Memphis doesn't just lead in economic struggle, it laps the competition. Think about that. Nearly half the people you pass are living below the poverty line. And if you think the crime situation can't be worse, spoiler alert, it is. Memphis currently ranks as the most dangerous city in the United States. Sky-high violent crime, especially in areas like South Memphis, Fraser, and Orange Mound. Would you feel safe taking an evening stroll where every block could turn into a crime scene? It's tragic because Memphis has soul, rich music, rich history, rich culture. But that soul is being strangled by decades of systemic neglect, poor leadership, and broken promises. Jobs have dried up. Schools are failing. Investment, sporadic at best. The cycle of poverty and violence spins like a scratched record stuck on the same sad song. Can a city that gave us Elvis and B.B. King survive when its next generation is boxed in by poverty and fear? Memphis isn't short on pride. It isn't short on spirit. But without real widespread change, that spirit is fighting an uphill battle against some of the steepest odds in America. This isn't about blaming the people. It's about demanding better. Better leadership, better investment, better opportunities for the communities that built Memphis. Would you roll the dice on a city where hope costs extra? Drop your thoughts in the comments because Memphis deserves to be talked about and fought for.